What's up, guys? Sandy Cater and Dan Owen here with Team EXT. Say
Hey
what's up,
guys.
Dan. Today we are going to be talking about AoD Dende. This is mainly a follow-up to My Wife Hates Games' most recent meta report and how there is no AoD Dende on his top leaders wheel. Um, so I'm going to be going into why I don't particularly like the deck, why I don't think the deck is doing very well. Dan played AoD Dende in our Team EXT playoffs. He top forward with it, so he knows a lot about the deck. Dan, you got the list up, right?
Sorry, you broke up just a little bit there. What was the
Oh,
last
my
comment?
potato internet. All right, so yeah. Do you want to just talk about Russell Steltzer's list? Because
Yeah, sure.
your list was really similar, and
Yes. So when
he
we got to that
yeah.
event, I didn't have much time to really practice anything. So I knew I wanted to play something with Boo, because Boo is my favorite character. So I was having a look through some of the recent lists that had happened, and I found this one. So to be honest, I did just take the main deck completely as it was. So I was looking through and I was thinking there's not really many changes, because I had looked at doing something similar, but I had Zenzu Beans in my list, but I knew that wasn't working very well. So I think the only differences that we had was he had the Unyielding Spirit Trunks in his list. And he ran one of the blue Bubbity as well, and what was it? The 7-drop. So I took out 3 beans and put in the 7-drop, the Bubbity, and the Unyielding Trunks like he had.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this list, but the problem is that I find with the deck is it's so restrictive on space, because there's not really much you can really change with this list. It's very linear with how it plays. You're having to either defend with the agents or you're dropping them with like the Super Dragon Balls. But after you go for that big glass turn on either turn 3 or turn 4, if you get lucky and your Boo isn't in the prize area, then you really don't have much to defend with afterwards. I find, because obviously all of your key 5Ks and 10Ks you're using to get the big Boo out, and then you've not got much to defend with, so you have to kind of deal that 8 damage life on that one turn, which kind of makes it difficult. I mean, it is a fun deck to play, but like you were saying, I don't think it is getting hurt a bit now. People are learning obviously the turn and how to kind of play around it. And there's a lot of cards in the meta that really hurt it. With obviously like Super Shenron and Broly are all running like the yellow package as well. So Nimbus murders this deck, absolutely breaks it to pieces.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly go over what the deck actually does. So it's essentially a do nothing deck until turn 3, correct? Because on turn 1 you want a 1-star ball, and turn 2 you want a Super
Yeah,
Dragon Ball.
1-star and Super Dragon Balls.
So you're not really doing much the first 2 turns, and then turn 3 you want to use your leader effect to Child's Wish in the surprise attack Boo. You want to evolve Awakening Evil Majin Buu on top.
Yes.
And then you want to use his Union Absorb to put a Bobbity and then preferably a Majin Buu Dawn of Rampage to give that Boo barrier, right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And then you'll grab the secret rare from your deck, you'll play it, and then you'll play all of the agents that you have in your drop area.
That's right, yeah.
So the
So you get them from drop or warp. So there's one thing that you can do with like the minus Killy Zone to get rid of like the Janembas. That kind of gives you a little bit of defense if you've got any 10Ks in your hand, because you can untap the energy at the end of your turn with that.
Yeah, so the deck is... This is my first issue with the deck, is it's ridiculously combo oriented. Like, you need to have... By turn 3, you need to have your Majin Buu in the drop, you need to have a 5-drop in hand, you need to have a Bobbity in hand, preferably a Dawn of Rampage in hand. You need to get 4 or 5 Agents of Destructions in the drop, and then you need to have your secret rare in the deck. So it's a lot to ask for, I think. And I had done some testing against the deck, and like it drawing into that secret rare Boo is an issue. If you draw into it on like turn 3 for turn or something like that, and you're not able to drop it with the 1-star ball or the Super Dragon Balls. And then
yeah, it kind of forces you to have to combo, and I think the opponent's going to realize as well, like if you get to turn 3 and the first thing you're trying to do is swing with your leader to be able to drop it, then the chances are they're just going to negate it right off the bat.
Yeah,
they realize
well, you're trying to fill up your drop with more agents, so the deck is easy to play around. And then if you do have the Boo in hand and you have to combo it out, it's 1 energy to combo it out, and it's another energy for Dangerous Journey Bulma to put it back into the deck. So it's problematic. That's the first issue I see with the deck.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It is very easy for it to kind of have hiccups as you're going along with the kind of play style. If you're always kind of scared to draw into it as well with like there's every card that you have, like Dangerous Journey, Bomber, and Minus Killing Zone, obviously make you draw as well. So I was actually playing a game the other day against one of my local players where I drew the Boo very early on, so I got rid of it with the 1-star ball. I then obviously cycled my Bomber and then drew straight back into it again. And that actually happened 4 times, and on the 4th time I just scooped. I was like, that just isn't happening now. I was having to like wish in my Bombers with my leader skill, and I just couldn't get the engine going on that game. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but it's just frustrating when that happens.
Yeah, so Bulma isn't there as like oh, I might deck out because of how much I'm drawing. Bulma is there because you need it in case you draw into that Boo, which can be highly likely sometimes.
Yeah, it kind of helps with a few other things as well, because it's not just the 8-drop that you can cycle back in. Like, you can put the Bubbities back in as well if you accidentally mill those out. You can put the 4-drop Boo back in, or any of the 5-drops if you're only running 3 of those 5-drop Boos. So there's a few targets that you can put back in if you need to kind of bulk out your deck as well.
Yeah, it does make the turn 3 a bit more difficult, because even if they can like survive your agents and then you go in for a game with the secret rare Boo, if for some reason they're able to out-combo the negate or they survive, you can use that blue energy to evolve the 7-drop Boo on top of it and go for a game with like a 60k triple strike.
Yep.
So having that extra blue energy open is really useful. So needing to use the Bulma to cycle that secret rare back into the deck, or one of your other pieces back into the deck, really hurts.
Yeah, that does happen quite a lot, I found, to be honest. Most of my games I end up having the Boo will end up in my drop area or something like that, and then on turn 3 I do tend to have to use Bulma to get it back into the deck. There's just not much that you can do against that when that happens, sadly.
Yeah. And then my question with Minus Killy is, against like yellow and green, that card seems super necessary. How often, like, are you consistently finding it? Because if your 5-drop gets bloodlusted, or when you're playing your agents, if they get Crusher Balled or Preemptive Striked, you're not like,
yeah, you're not gonna have a good time with that. Yeah, to be honest, you do find it quite easily, because you cycle through your deck by turn 3 really, really quickly. The issue is that if you burst one early on, that ends up being a real issue, because then you've obviously only got one left in the deck. Having an extra one in the side deck's really nice. I actually took when I did my side deck for the event, I ended up taking out that extra Minus Killy Zone and really regretted it, because I definitely wanted the 3rd one for decks like running yellow and stuff like that, which is pretty much everything right now. You can get it quite consistently, but I don't know, having 2 of them can still be quite tricky, because obviously you're bursting cards as well, so it's kind of hit or miss if you're going to end up bursting it or not.
Yeah, so
but you do need it. You 100% need that card in this deck.
So pretty much every color at the moment has some level of counter to this deck. So I'm gonna go over just some of the counter cards I can think of at the moment. Is that all you got? Best negate. One of my favorite negates in the game. You just negate the attack, and then you drop a red card and you give 2 cards minus 15k. So none of your agents have barrier. So on that first attack, is that all you got? And then you've got 2 5k agents that you have to then pump.
Yeah, and you could just negate the attack and choose 2 different agents, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you've stopped 3 attacks essentially, or you are forcing them to combo in much more than they would want. Did it break up again? Hello? Dan? Oh, yikes. Oh, there we go. Alright. I'll probably cut out again. It's my potato internet, so hopefully people aren't too upset about that. But where are we at right there? Is that all you got? So that hurts the deck. I remember I was testing my Red Gogeta deck against Silk, and I had all 4 Is That All You Got's in hand, and I was like, there's no way you're gonna kill me, and I'll just kill you next turn.
Yeah, you could just murder that deck then.
Flying Nimbus hurts. Flying Nimbus hurts really bad.
Yeah, Flying Nimbus is the worst card, because that's in pretty much every deck right now, isn't it? We've got Brody playing it, Super Shenron's playing it. Even we're obviously seeing the yellow skillless decks as well. Or like blue-yellow, so they're all running that as well. Yeah. And this deck, you can't really fit yellow in right now, I don't think.
That's the biggest issue with this deck. Like when set 5 came out, when Shenron was first announced, and I played in your guys' tournament, I was like, oh, Shenron Buhon, that'll be so sick. But the biggest issue is you couldn't squeeze in yellow for a bad ring, because Battering just feels so necessary. It's something you really need in a deck like this.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the new cards perhaps help with that a little bit, with having like the blue and yellow dual color. But
Yeah, the
a bit off
4-drop
testing
Janemba.
that yet, because I've only really just started looking at those cards. But again, space is really tight with this deck, so I'm not sure how you're going to be able to fit that.
Yeah, I mean, Silk sided into yellow for Silk sided into yellow for the tournament, and it kind of did its job. But when you charge 2 reds and then a yellow, and you don't get to charge the way you want to, so that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it takes away the threat of the big boo as well, which I think is a big part of the play on that turn as well. Is if you've been able to keep that blue energy up, it's kind of a big threat, isn't it? If you're trying to work out, like, if you don't have, say, Nimbus or something in your hand, but you've got, I don't know, like Power Burst or something like that, you've got to really think about how you're using those cards.
Yeah, so in UB, I side Mafuba, which is the next counter I want to talk about, because in Skillless, if I can Awaken before your kill turn, like Awakening Talent Pan, I feel is super necessary for that matchup, just because you can develop such a hand with Awakening. I'll side into Mafuba as well, and then I'll do my best to survive your agents, and then when you attack with the secret rare, I'll then just Mafuba it, so you can't evolve over top, and then you won't be able to evolve over top of it next turn. So Mafuba is also...
Yeah, just left them with that energy as well.
Yeah, Mafuba is also, I feel, a good counter to the deck. And then the 2 other cards that Markus Kantarci had, he did a write-up on why AoD will never win a major event. I'll link that in the description. But he also mentioned Bardock Fully Unleashed. So if you don't get your barrier boo underneath your secret rare, then it can get Bardock Fully Unleashed and removed. So that's a good card for that. And then you got Heavenly Wizard Demigra as well. So even if you do give it barrier and your kill turn goes off correctly, like you get your secret rare out on turn 3, it'll get removed the next turn. So there are a lot of counters to this deck. I feel it's very easy to play around. The biggest thing is just surviving the kill turn and then being able to hit them back. Hit them back and go for game, because there's not many defensive options. There's no main board negates, are there? They're just sided in.
Yeah, you can only really side the negates. There's not the space for it.
Now, what would you cut for negates?
So if I was going against a deck where I definitely needed the negates in, to be able to survive the next turn, let's see. Probably the 7-drop boo. Not the Ultimate Evil, I'd take the Ultimate
Absorption boo, yeah.
Yes, I'd cut that first of all. Then I do need blue energy for a Dimension Magic, so let's see. I mean, you do see Bubbly Philip, maybe a Dangerous Journey Bomber down to 3. You could probably get away with running 3 of those.
Yeah.
Maybe the Unyielding as well to maybe fit those in.
So it doesn't really take too much away from the deck if you need to put them.
Now you can fit some cards in. I guess like if you do need to side, you've got to commit to just removing the other part of the Boo engine if you need to get through the next turn and kind of like focus more on the agent side of things.
Yeah.
So you could kind of try and just get rid of maybe maybe even all the 7 drops just for the sake of being able to fit in some more defensive options.
And this deck is very much an on the play deck, isn't it? Because you don't want your opponent to have more energy in case your kill turn doesn't work out, because then they have more energy to kill you the next turn.
You've kind of got to do it as quickly as possible, because like with decks like Super General and stuff, if you don't go off on turn 3, then you're definitely getting double turned the next turn anyway.
Yeah,
and you've got to try something against it right away.
It seems like it just has a really bad Super Shenron matchup, because if they have their Nimbus, they'll just Nimbus you, and then you'll pass, and then they'll just take 2 turns, and those 2 turns will most definitely kill you.
Yeah, because you're not left with much in your hand, because obviously the early game with this deck, if they're swinging at you, you can either choose to kind of like take the life if you notice that, I don't know, maybe the secret res in your life, or you're comboing your agents away to kind of keep yourself nice and healthy, and then be able to obviously pull them out. So you don't end up having too much that you can actually defend with after that turn, because obviously the main bulk of this deck is you're filling out with agents. You've got, what, 4, 8, got like 11 agents there. You can have some in the side deck. You got the big boo. Then obviously you've got the boo chain itself as well that you want to keep hold of.
Yeah.
Because that's a few cards as well. You've got a Bobbity that you got to put underneath. You've got the other 4-drop margin boo. So you're dropping a lot of cards to get this combo to come out on the right turn.
Yeah, it's really needed. And another question I have is this is just what I thought of recently. What if you play against a deck that doesn't attack you, so you only get the 3 drops off the 1-star ball and the 2-star ball, or the Super Dragon Ball, and they negate your leader swing, so you can't drop more agents? Like, what's the play from there? Do you just try and go into ultimate absorption boo?
I guess what you could do. So I always try to make sure that when I go for the hard mulligan on turn 1, that I always look for the boo, the free drop. So I'll either drop, if I see that it's a defensive deck, I'll drop, say, the margin boo off the 1-star, and if I know I'm going to get attacked, I'll drop the Child's Wish. If you then need to find a way to drop your agents, you're either hoping, I guess, for burst, or you've got the Super Dragon Balls, and then I guess if they negate the leader swing, you could swing with the free drop boo.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not going to get you the triple attack, but you're going to get your agents out that way, or maybe you just try and play a bit more defensive as well. I mean, they're not touching your life at that point, are they? So you could just try and do
No,
it
you're right.
way.
You're right about the burst. I forgot this was a burst leader as well. So the burst probably helps get the stuff in there.
Burst is pretty reliable. Like most of the time, you're going to hit at least 1 agent when you go in for the burst.
Yeah, it's sensible.
And it's even great when you get the, say, like a Dragon Ball in there as well. If you get like a turn 2 awaken, that's quite nice as well. I mean, you can't rush into the arcane boo that way, but sometimes against certain decks, it's you can go into the other 7-drop boo on turn 2, and that could be just as devastating because obviously you're then absorbing cards as well, which is nice.
In the Broly matchup, that's actually really good, isn't it? Because
I love doing that on the Broly matchup because obviously I don't think, from what I've seen, it doesn't proc the effect of Broly with the boo card.
It's either that or the Broly procs on your side of the field. I don't know how it works. I
understand it that way, so that you gain control of it, but it becomes your card while it's still on their side of the field, and it goes under your card, so you then get the effect. So if you say absorb the 1-drop, you could have the choice of taking like 2 life or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a judge, but the rulings at the moment, I could not be asked.
Yeah, they made the rulings really confusing with that.
A lot of the rulings for a lot of cards right now, I think, are a bit confusing for me. But
yeah, I really like that card against Broly. I wanted to try and fit another one in the side deck actually for when I was going against a Broly matchup, but I couldn't find space because I think my side deck's a little bit different too.
I think your side deck is a little bit different as well.
So I've done a few changes to it recently. Let's see if we can find it. That's not it.
So ultimately, would you even consider running this for an event like Birmingham?
If I wanted to win, no.
Okay.
Just because it can brick occasionally, like I mentioned earlier when I was playing my friend and I had to cycle the boo 4 times. I mean, I would love to for the sake of having fun, but if I wanted to do well, it makes more sense to play something like Broly, Skillless, or even Super Shenron. Although I wouldn't touch Super Shenron. I don't like that deck.
I don't think it's fun to play against. It's not a fun deck to play.
Put somebody through that. Even if I wanted to win, I'd still try and play something else. Like, I might even try like testing like Baby Vegeta or something like that because I think that's got a good skillless matchup.
It is,
and possibly against Broly. But I've not tested it against Broly. I'm still trying to work on my list for them. But I feel like no. If you're going to have fun, yeah, you'll still be able to obviously get through the Swiss. You might be able to make top cut, but with all the yellow running around, I feel like people, now that they know how to play it, they're just going to Nimbus you. They're just going to wait for that turn, Nimbus it out, and then, yeah, really hurt you the next turn.
Yeah, a big point that was made by Markus, and then something Russell had experienced was in a long tournament like Birmingham. I don't know how many rounds of Swiss it'll be, but if you make it into top cut, that's even more rounds. And like the odds of something going wrong is quite high.
Yeah, you're gonna hit one game where it's gonna go wrong for you, and if that's on like one of your positive matchups as well, like where you're supposed to do well, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, because like eventually Russell ended up bricking Game 3 against Markus Kantarci in like the semifinals or something, in top 4, and he had Secret Rare Boo in life and 4 Dragon Balls in life, so it's just like so much can go wrong in this deck, and when it does go wrong, when you need it not to go wrong,
you can get it out consistently on turn 3. So there's the ways to work around it, but it's not the ideal way of doing it. I don't think having to like on turn 3 having to play the Bulma to get it back. can end up being really awkward. I mean, you can still kind of do it on turn 3, but obviously if you draw it on turn 3, that's the worst then, because then you've got no way, unless you've got the Unyielding Spirit, to kind of get that play off on the turn 3. Of how aggressive, like, Broly goes off on what, turn 2, 3, skillless.
It wouldn't go. It wouldn't go off on
so.
turn 2 against you because you don't have anything on board turn 2. But if they
it's gonna want like preempts.
Yeah, they can go. They can be a turn 3 kill. But yeah, that's the video. Those are our thoughts on the deck. I know it's a bit negative towards the deck, so there's probably some people that won't like the video. There are probably some people that are considering buying the Secret Rare Boo, and this might stop them from spending all that money.
I mean, I invested in it. I find it fun, so I'll still play it at my locals. Yeah. I'm not sure whether I'll take it to an event, but I do like the deck. I think there's still hope that it could do possibly better in the future. Maybe we're playing it wrong right now. We're trying to play it too aggro. Maybe once Super Shenron's gone, we've got a bit of breathing room with how we can strategize it a bit better. And maybe with the new cards, we can fit blue-yellow in. Who knows? So we've got that Janemba and the Bojack that might help it.
Yeah,
so that's wait.
So yeah, let us know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to try and push out content for you guys. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.